let me ask you something. Do you notice anything about this image? I mean, anything that's like a little bit off, maybe out of the ordinary? Yes, Santa's a zombie, but that's not what I'm talking about. We're gonna come back to that, but first I want to talk to you about AI generated content within Black Ops 6. You see, when Black Ops 6 was first launched, one of the things that everyone was saying is that the various different prestiges were indeed AI generated art. So when you go and look at these, some of the things that you can see here along the bottom, like this third prestige, or more specifically, this one that you are looking at here, people were saying that because there are two sleeves on the left hand of the zombie, this was AI generated. And as far as the prestige icons, this is one thing I don't actually think is AI generated, but the more and more that comes out, the more it is looking like indeed there is AI art at the very least being used in Black Ops 6. So if we go back to the Merry Mayhem event and look at Necroclaws, the thing that you may not have noticed is this zombie has 6 fingers. The hand that is reaching out has 6 fingers. 5 fingers, 1 thumb. People are saying that skin hanging off or all of this. It's not. It's a 6th finger. On top of that, if you look at the other hand, the left hand, his index finger is missing the 3rd knuckle. After that knuckle, the finger's cut off. Now, I could give that a little bit of a pass. It is a zombie after all. But how many Santa Clauses do you think have 6 fingers that turn into a zombie? And yes, you could argue that this was on purpose or whatever. Let's be honest, it probably wasn't. Now, this goes much further than you think, but first, if you know nothing about AI, I kind of want to first explain to you why this actually makes a lot of sense that this is AI. This is a video about AI generated images, and specifically it is titled Why AI Struggles with Hands, and I'm just going to play a short little clip from it. It's from Vox though.
So I typed, make me a person with exactly 5 freckles. So this one's from DALL-E 2. This one is from Stable Diffusion.
Those are all more than 5 freckles.
This one is from Midjourney. So it's like, great job. You've got, a red-haired person, they're more likely to have freckles, but there are not exactly 5 freckles here. Here that doesn't really matter because we see a freckly face, but hands require higher standards.
Look at those hands.
Look at our apple holding man again. I made 3 other variations. The hands are all weird, but don't look at them right now. It changed the shirt stripes, the buttons, the apple style. None of that matters because it's stripe-like and button-like and apple-like, but hand-like isn't good enough.
It is something that is very exact. We know that there are 5 fingers on a hand. If you only say you want 5 freckles, then it messes it up. It's not that noticeable, but if it puts a hand out there and the hand has more than 5 fingers, obviously that is a problem. AI generated images aren't exact. They are close enough, and probably one day they will be exact, but for now, you end up getting things like the zombie image that we saw from before. Now this goes a lot further than you may think, and this has been going around, like I said, since the very launch of the game. There is this post on Imager that goes through some other images that are within Black Ops 6. So for example, in this one, it says, calling cards, sleeve on shoulder randomly ends, hair is odd and inconsistent. So like these little strange things in some of the art. In this one, they say that the balconies look odd to me. This one's not that crazy. In this loading screen, they say the letters on the sign are inconsistent. Again, hard to tell whether that's exact or not. Prestige 1, once again, that is looking at the sleeve. And then we have the middle and index fingers on the hanging artwork are blended together. Again, that's more so stylized. All of those I could see being AI driven or not, all in the same go, and all of them really don't make a big difference. But when we go back to 6 finger zombies, we have another thing altogether. Something that is very clearly a mistake. I don't know how it slipped through the cracks, but nonetheless, it is something that very much pushed forward that narrative. There is AI driven content within Black Ops 6. Question is, why is this a big deal? Well, there's actually something that Steam itself has put out, and that is this. It is a statement about AI content on Steam, and the fact that when AI content is on Steam, it needs to be disclosed. Basically, it says there are two different types of AI generated content. Pre-generated, and it says any kind of content, art, code, sound, etc. are created with the help of AI tools during development. Under the Steam distribution agreement, you must promise Valve that your game will not include illegal or infringing content and that your game will be consistent with your marketing material. Live generated content is different. Any kind of content created with the help of AI tools while the game is running, in addition to following the same rules as the blah blah blah. Essentially, the difference between the two of those is one is just like set artwork or things that are set in stone, and the live generated is if you like landed on a planet, for example, and then that planet was AI generated. That is the difference between the two. But needless to say, in both situations, you are supposed to state on Steam that your game includes AI generated content. And the reason why Call of Duty may be getting around this is because in the wording, it says only if there is illegal or infringed content, copyright infringed content. I've talked about this recently. The thing with AI in video games is I think that it is severely underreported. I think AI at this point is used in almost every single video game you play, in one way or another, whether that's using AI to generate the interior of a building, or AI to create the artwork that is hanging on walls, or AI to create loading screens like we see in Black Ops 6. I think it is severely underreported. The question is why? I actually just released a video on my second channel today about the downfall of the AAA gaming market. And when it comes to this, essentially the main reason why is the price of creating a AAA game has skyrocketed. Call of Duty reported about a $550 million price tag to just develop Call of Duty Black Ops 6 with almost the same marketing budget to go with it. How can they cut corners on a game as big as Call of Duty? Do you hire less developers? No, they need to constantly be churning out content. But one thing that they can do is reduce the amount of time and work needed to create certain things, like a loading screen per se. If AI can create an image, or at least a very close image that someone can touch up in 30 seconds, whereas someone to make the same image would take a day or two to create that whole thing, that is saving them probably millions of dollars over a year. Now, the downside to that is it is taking humans' jobs. It is removing that human factor from the development of the game. Now, here's the thing. This is an incredibly slippery slope. And if you've been paying attention to what has been going on since the launch of Season 1 Reloaded, you would know that this happened. So Ghost of Hope tweeted saying, "Panic within Treyarch at the moment. Almost all of the actors that feature in the Zombies crew in Black Ops 6 Zombies have pulled out of working over the lack of AI protections in their contract. This has resulted in some of the disappointing recast we are now seeing early on. For example, Sam on Citadel, with some likely still to be recast on future maps." Now, I don't know about the future maps thing, but if you don't understand what's going on here, is essentially they wanted to use some of these voice actors' voices to be recreated by AI and used in whatever which way they wanted to save some dollars on paying the voice actors. Now, here's the thing. I know a little bit more information about this. I know that this is nothing new. In the gaming industry, and specifically within Call of Duty, some of the voice actors have quit in the past, or you could even say got fired, one of which is James C. Burns, in other words, the original voice actor for Frank Woods. I happen to know one of the reasons he no longer works with Call of Duty is he was handed a contract. In said contract, it said something along the lines of they could use his likeness in perpetuity for a fee. Now, I don't know what that fee was. Of course, that is impossible for me to find out. I couldn't see the contract. It was probably behind an NDA. Now, this is a common thing within video games. It's a common thing within Call of Duty. It's so that when they create a character, they can use that forever based off of that person's likeness. The problem comes in when AI is introduced. That person will no longer be needed for their own voice, because after saying a few lines, they can use AI to recreate them saying anything and not have to pay them. And of course, that is where the problem comes in. This is a way of cutting costs. And let's be honest, it's a business. They need to cut costs. problem comes in is when the people you are listening to and the people who are creating game suffer from it, it creates a massive problem. But that's just one way of looking at it. That is the way of the company looking at it. That is the way of the voice actors looking at it. But that's not the only way of looking at it. And in my opinion, the biggest problem with it is it's just not disclosed. It is not told to us whatsoever. Now, again, this is not a new issue. There was a rumor going around back a year ago in December of 2023 that this bundle that you are seeing here had AI-driven content in it. This bundle was, I believe, called Yokai's Wrath, and I don't know, Wired was the one that released the actual article on it, but essentially they stated that something in this bundle was AI driven. They didn't say what it was, what part it was, whether it was the operator, well, it was the calling card. I'm guessing it's one of the calling cards or loading screens, but they said that this was in there and it was never disclosed to the people who are buying it. That is another one of my big issues with this, is if you're buying something like a bundle or a game, it's just, I think, consumer friendly to let the people know that this was not created by an artist. This was created by a computer, and if they want to buy it, they want to buy it. But just knowing what you're buying, I think, is very, very important, and just, in my opinion, good business practices. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't really care whether or not the loading screens that are released or even the prestige icons are AI created. I really don't care. There is rumors going around that maps, weapons, and other things are AI driven, and I just don't think we're there yet. From what I've heard from game developers, are like, yeah, that is impossible to do at this point. Maybe one day, but impossible to do at this point. So yeah, I don't think we're at that point. But some of the art in game, I think absolutely is, and probably has been for quite a while. It's just that transparency that I think needs to be there. And I wanted to make this video to kind of put out all sides of the story. The reason why developers are using it, the reasons why people are frustrated with it, and overall, my opinions on it. Like I said, I don't really care if they're using this for art in particular. I do care for the people who lose jobs because of this, but that's constantly the tech sector as a whole. People are going to come and lose jobs just as easily when technology progresses. It always happens. But at the same time, I think as a consumer, that is where this issue really lies. You should know what you are buying, you should know what you are paying for, and you should know what a company is giving you. Transparency is key, especially with a live service game, in my opinion. But I'm going to leave it to you after this. I've given you all of the information. I'm giving you what we know. Let me know what you're thinking about all of this down in the comments. I just wanted to get the information out there and hear what you guys have to say. So let me know down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. We got more story content coming soon. And until next time.